Coming up on today's San Francisco 49ers report, an updated Niners 53-man roster projection, a look at this entire team to see who makes the roster following mandatory minicamp last week. And speaking of this Niners team, they're definitely going to be one of the best in the National Football League in 2024 if they can stay healthy. Still a Super Bowl contender. The odds makers in Las Vegas have the Niners as the favorite to bring home the Lombardi Trophy. Hopefully this time they can actually get the job done. But what do you think? The 49ers are the blank best team in the NFL. Fill in the blank for me down in the comment section. I want to hear from the faithful right now. Today's 49ers report, by the way, is made possible thanks to our friends at Roan. I'm wearing their commuter polo. I wear this on air, out to a date, getting some drinks on the golf course. And really, with all of the Roan products, you can do anything because that is your corner office comfort all the way to the golf course. You look good, you feel good with Roan, and you save with Roan. Use the code CHATSPORTS at roan.com/chatsports. That link is hanging out down in the comment section and in the description of this video. All right, let's get our Niners roster projection underway following mandatory minicamp. A couple of changes from the last time we did this exercise as far as players who could make the team, players who could get cut. We begin with the quarterback position. Chalk here. Brock Purdy obviously going to make this team. Josh Dobbs and Brandon Allen rounding out the quarterback room. I do think the Niners will have 3 quarterbacks on the initial 53. Who's going to be the backup, though? I think that's a viable question. I think the backup quarterback competition is going to be a sneaky good one during camp. Dobbs has to perform and play better than he did in the spring. He's had up and down moments in the NFL. I'm not really too high on Brandon Allen. It seems as though coaches really like him because he backed up Joe Burrow, has a good football mind. Kyle Shanahan is a fan of his. But when I watch him, I don't see any special at all. So we'll be having our eyes peeled on Tanner Mordecai, the UDFA. To the running back position now, some changes made here. Christian McCaffrey, Madden cover man for Madden 25, NFL Offensive Player of the Year, leading rusher last year, top 5 in MVP voting. If he stays healthy, he's in store for another monster year. Got that contract extension, got the Madden cover. Life is good for CMC. Who's going to back him up? Jordan Mason was getting RB1 reps last week. I like the physicality that he has. Seems as though he's improved as a pass catcher. You traded up to draft Isaac Guerendo. If he doesn't make the team, that's a disaster. I like the height, the weight, and the speed for Guerendo. 4'3" guy at well over 6 feet, 220 pounds. Patrick Taylor, the tallest running back that Kyle Shanahan has ever signed in free agency. He is a quality special teams player. And then, of course, on this page is fullback Kyle Juszczyk, who flies under the radar for the value that he has, making things happen behind the scenes and off the box score as the fullback for this team. Try to get Cody Schrader on the practice squad. I want to see how the Niners would be able to develop him over time. And Elijah Mitchell, traded or cut. He's played in 27 games in 3 years. You have better, healthier, more reliable options who can make this team. And Patrick Taylor, he can contribute on special teams to a high degree. And him contributing on special teams could go a long way in him making this roster. And the common theme of this roster projection, how deep San Francisco is. I mean, they're going to have to cut some really quality players from this club. And that includes the wide receiver group. Brandon Aiyuk, Deebo Samuel, Jauan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, Jacob Cowing, and Ronnie Bell. He is the final wide receiver who makes the 53-man roster, which means you're going to have to cut former third-round pick and speedster Danny Gray, who has 4.3 speed but has never been able to put it together and hasn't contributed at the NFL level. He's been a big disappointment for where he was drafted. Chris Conley played excellent special teams against the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, had a huge catch against the Green Bay Packers on one of those final drives from Brock Purdy, but he's been a career journeyman for a reason, and Trent Taylor has punt return ability, but so does Ricky Pearsall. And you can replace Trent Taylor as far as a punt returner goes outside of Ricky Pearsall. Ronnie Bell can return punts. Trent Taylor isn't really going to be utilized as a punt returner and a wide receiver. And on a deep team, you're going to have to make these cuts where if one player is only contributing in a small way, like Trent Taylor only on special teams, they don't deserve to make this team. So contributing on special teams will be important for a player like Patrick Taylor, and then for Trent Taylor, contributing elsewhere and then just solely on special teams does kind of hurt him. Tight end spot. Traditionally, the 49ers have had 4 tight ends on the opening 53. But again, because this Niners team has a lot of depth at other positions, we're going to go with 3 here to open up a roster spot elsewhere. George Kittle, the only tight end in the NFL last year to have more than 1,000 receiving yards, first 1,000-yard season for him since 2019, a first-team All-Pro, coming off the core muscle surgery, not going to hold him from being ready for Week 1, barring a setback, of course. Brayden Willis, he has surged throughout the spring. He's been turning some heads, and I think that he could continue his development. He has special teams ability in addition to being a solid blocker, can play a little H-back, and look comfortable in receiving the football at Oklahoma and with the Niners so far. And then San Francisco, they signed Logan Thomas last week. This is an accomplished tight end in the NFL who's a very good pass catcher, an excellent athlete, 6'5", 6'6", 250 pounds, and last year had really good production, nearly 500 receiving yards. He has a spot on this Niners team, and frankly, I'd like to see a couple of more 2 tight end sets from Kyle Shanahan as he potentially trots out that 12 personnel. Some cuts here. Cam Latu, former third-round pick. Eric Saubert, who's been in the league for a long time, since 2017. And then you put Mason Pline, the former basketball player, on the practice squad as that developmental piece, and you hope that he could be ready to maybe contribute, at least make the team in 2025. We round out the offensive side of the rock with the offensive line. Your starters, Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel, Jon Feliciano at right guard, Colton McKivitz at right tackle. I think the Niners could start the season with the same offensive line that ended last year. And then your backups, Jaylon Moore is your swing tackle. Chris Hubbard can be your backup right tackle, play a little bit of swing if you want him to. Dominick Puni could make the argument to start at right guard with the good training camp. Spencer Burford, the Niners are hoping that he could break out finally this year in year 3. And then the UDFA, Drake Nugent, former starting center for Michigan, I think he can make this team. This position group, I am uncertain about. Not because of the lack of talent, which I obviously think is a problem, but because of center and right guard, and then the backups. I don't think that Jake Brendel is a lock to make the team and or start. And then swing tackle, center, and guard are kind of wide open here. You could start Jon Feliciano. You could start Drake Nugent. And then if you go with the different starting center, Dominick Puni is your right guard. That could open up an opportunity for a Jarrett Kingston to make the team. Jake Brendel, if you do cut him post-June 1, which obviously we're at that point in the calendar year, $3.5 million in dead money, 3.6, and then the Niners would save $1 million. But if there are better options and you can improve the team in the trenches, an area that was a question mark last year, look, you got to do it. Are you subscribed to the channel? If that is the case, type me. And if you haven't subscribed, do so right now for daily shows on the San Francisco 49ers. Join the family of 133,000 subscribers right here on the show and hit that sub button. As I mentioned off the rip, today's 49ers Report is sponsored by Roan, high-quality menswear that'll have you looking good and feeling good. Get 20% off using the code CHATSPORTS. I'm wearing their commuter polo. You have seen me wear their commuter button-up. I love the tops that they have as far as the dress shirts and the polos. They're so comfortable. You have the flexible and stretchable material, but the more that you wear these shirts, they have wrinkle release technology. You can't even see a wrinkle here right now. It's awesome. And then the dress shirts, very comfortable. You can wear them with a pair of jeans, nice pants, tuck it in. You can have it untucked. What I like about these shirts, they don't hang so low like some of those old school dress shirts I used to have to wear when I was on local television. as a reporter. I wish I knew about Roan back then. I do now, and now I'm never going to go back. Get 20% off your order, roan.com/chatsports. You can knock down a couple of drinks, rocking some Roan gear, host shows with Roan gear, go to the golf course in Roan gear. Once again, use that code chatsports to save and to spice up that wardrobe. We shift gears to the defensive side of the football. Another deep position group here is the Niners defensive line. The starting unit could be one of the best units the Niners have had, maybe since 2019. Nick Bosa, Javon Hargrave, Maliek Collins, Leonard Floyd. I mean, that defensive line is going to cause offensive lines a lot of issues. You have the 2022 Defensive Player of the Year in Bosa. If Hargrave can return to his 2022 form where he had 11 sacks for Philadelphia, he even said he can be in better shape. Hopefully he is. Maliek Collins been a better, more available and productive player than Eric Armstead over the last couple of years. Also much cheaper than Eric Armstead. And then Leonard Floyd, 4 straight years of 9+ sacks. Nick Bosa hasn't had the luxury of having that type of player opposite of him in a little while, probably since 2019. Twitch, bend, speed, relentless pursuit, just a high-quality veteran on and off the field. And then the depth pieces here, Yetur Gross-Matos with that 80+ inch wingspan. Jordan Elliott, good against the run last year for Cleveland. Can Kalia Davis stay healthy and take another leap? And then Robert Beal Jr., Kevin Givens, the 2 defensive linemen rounding out the D linemen who make this team. That is 9 total. You could go 10 total easily because this position group is pretty deep. On the practice squad, I'm going to put Evan Anderson there out of FAU. The Niners gave him about $280,000 just to sign as a UDFA. That's practice squad money. So he gets that. Then he makes it onto the practice squad. Nice little payday for Evan Anderson at defensive tackle. And then Drake Jackson, you can put him on PUP to start the year if you do not cut him. I just don't see how he's going to be ready for week 1 as he continues to come off that knee surgery, which kind of looked gruesome. We've showed you the pictures here on the show. Flip the page to linebackers. Fred Warner, Devontae Campbell, D. Winters, Jalen Graham, Ezekiel Turner. Fred Warner, best linebacker of this generation, best linebacker in football right now, one of the best coverage linebackers in the history of the NFL. Devontae Campbell is going to be that Dre Greenlaw holdover plan. And then Fred Warner said, among all the players on the team, D. Winters may have had the best offseason in spring, making plays left and right, flying around. I'm excited to see his development. And then Jalen Graham, another backer who the Niners drafted in the 2023 draft. I think he can make the team too. And then the Niners bringing in Ezekiel Turner as a special teams ace, formerly of the Arizona Cardinals. A lot of people have talked him up. Dre Greenlaw starts the year on PUP. Tore his Achilles in February. Not sure how he's going to be ready for week 1. And then you have to make a difficult cut here in Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles, who's been a decent rotational linebacker and a good special teams player for this team over the last couple of years. Cornerback, so deep here. Difficult roster decisions to make, and you can make the argument more players could make the squad. I went with 5 here. That's what the Niners did last year. My 5, Charvarius Ward, Diamador Lenore. 2 best corners on this team. Use the 2nd-round pick on Renardo Green. You sign Isaac Yiadom-Rock, you send in free agency. They're both vets who at times have played very well in their respective NFL careers. The cuts, a handful of them. Ambry Thomas, former 3rd-round pick, 3rd round, a blemish on Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch's resume for whatever reason. Chase Lucas, a special teamer coming over from Detroit. He's a good special teams player. Samuel Womack has struggled in the spring. Darrell Luter Jr. made some plays, but where does he fit in this cornerback rotation? Again, if you hold on to 6, maybe Luter is the last corner to make the team, but then you have to make a cut elsewhere. I'm not sure where I make that cut because I only go with 4 safeties here in Jair Brown, Talanoa Hufanga, George Odom, and Malik Mustafa. I think that Jair Brown could be a breakout player going into year 2. As a rookie last year, stepping in for Hufanga, he played well. Hufanga could be a PUP candidate to start the year, but I think that would be a disaster with where he tore the ACL last year. George Odom is one of the better special teams players in the NFL, so you want him on the team. And then you used a 4th-round pick on Malik Mustafa, who I'm high on, and I like his potential looking ahead. And then specialists are people too. That's how we round out the show. Jake Moody, Mitch Wishnowsky, Tabor Pepper, rounding out those 53 spots on this Niners team. I told you, it's a deep squad. Some of these players are not going to make the club, and they're going to go elsewhere. They're going to make teams. And I guarantee you that other teams across the NFL, this is a credit to how San Francisco's been able to build up their roster. They're going to be looking at how training camp transpires for the Niners because they know that they're going to get a quality player who's going to be on the scrap heap that the Niners do not have on the 53-man roster. So one more time, grade the Niners roster, A, B, C, D, or F. Join that conversation down in the comments section. Debate it with some homies, and we'll catch you next time here on the show. Thanks for watching.